It was a seminal event. It has had a huge effect on the world since then. You know, it's given liberation movements all over the world a sort of a lift. Well, if the Irish can do this, and they're so near Britain and they can do it, like, why can't we do it? 1916 means a lot to me. I look back on the aspirations of the leaders of 1916, and I look back then, reflect on my own life, and maybe 1966, the 50th anniversary of the Rising, was a pivotal point in my own life, because I grew up in a North Sligo, very rural area, from a non-political family, and 1966 I was six years old, 6 and a half approximately. I remember distinctly the programmes on TV. My family were probably one of a few families that had TV in the area, and it was the discussion, and my neighbours and my father's friends and cousins that were coming to actually view insurrection, yeah, and it left a mark on me. And we're mature enough now to reflect back on it. I think myself personally, looking at it from a personal perspective, I think that I came to Dublin for the reclaim in 1916 and the Easter Month, and I think maybe the government was maybe in a slower gear, but when they seen the amount of young people and the amount of people that wanted to become involved in that reclaiming the streets Easter Month, I think it was actually RTE were to the back of it. I think it maybe moved them up a gear or two to say, geez, there's something going on here that we better move with it, you know, or we'll be. So, because people now aren't afraid to talk. In 1966, maybe my father would have been a Fine Gael supporter. My mother possibly would have never spoke, but looking back on her, maybe she may have been a Fianna Fáil supporter, you know. So here was a house that, and maybe the politics were too raw. Maybe De Valera was still in power, and he was one of the leaders then, albeit maybe he may have been blamed for the Civil War, which I think my father and a lot of his neighbours blamed De Valera for causing the Civil War, that they think that he was the main protagonist. And one thing that I do have a bugbear with is that a lot of the county councils are using the word reimagine. Like, how can you reimagine something that has happened? It was a seminal event. It has had a huge effect on the world since then. You know, it's given liberation movements all over the world a sort of a lift. Well, if the Irish can do this, and they're so near Britain and they can do it, like, why can't we do it? You know, so the word reimagine, I think that word is going to come back to haunt them through time. But other than that, every county council is doing things as much as they can. But I know my own county council in Sligo, they're looking for the names of all the people, not just the famous people, looking for the names of all the people for the county. And they're going through them quite rigorously, so, you know, you can't just do it if you're spurious, you know. You have to have some bit of evidence that family was involved. But I'm giving them a hand out of that myself, and from listening to them, it's amazing the amount of people who have no ancestors now, they've no living relatives or anything like that, but they're able to trace up when their medals was sold, you know. So while these people aspired and they were willing to give their life for an Ireland that they believed in, they never got married or never had family, they had on this belief to, and it all frittered away. Sometimes you'd wonder for what. You have to be very idealistic, I suppose, to do something like that, to take a gun in your hand. It's not a very nice thing, I would say, to take a gun in your hand and shoot a fellow human being. So it takes some special type of person to do that as well, and also to be willing to give up their own life for a cause they believe in so much too, you know. So it's maybe sad when you reflect on things like that these people gave so much, but yet now when you look at it, they've absolutely no living relatives at all. And like, it's only 2 generations out. Maybe they have living relatives, but they're not even aware of them, which is even a worse travesty. Because certainly if I had a relative in that position, I'd be very proud of them, and I'd be very, very much aware of them.